What follows is my best recollection of the conversation my father and I had upon arriving back home. There won't be many misquotes, as most of what was said is burned into my memory. Speaking low as not to wake Mom, Dad began. "This mountain belongs to the Mundys." "What are you talking about?" "It's their mountain. Always has been. They've only been here since the 1800s. "That ain't true." "Old Man Mundy? The Confederate soldier? You telling me he wasn't real?" "Oh, he was real all right. Him and his wife both." "Then what do you mean they always been here?" "He wasn't the first Mundy. He was just the one they decided to let outside." "Outside of where?" "The mountain." "I don't understand." "Son, the Mundys lived inside the mountain. I don't mean on it. I mean in it. Beneath the dirt and rock." "Like in a cave?" "Pretty much." "Are you telling me that Old Man Mundy was the first one to come out of the cave?" "He's the first one they let out." "Why?" "To get a Mundy up top, I suppose. People were moving onto the mountain without any knowledge of what was beneath them." "So, Old Man Mundy was a spy of some sort?" "More like a tax collector." "What do you mean?" "There's a fee to live on the mountain." "What kind of fee?" Dad looked down at the table and swallowed. I could tell his next words weren't going to be easy. "Children." My stomach dropped, and I could feel the blood leaving my face. Now I knew what I'd seen at the Kellers. Payment. I was angry. I raised my tone, something I've never done with my father before, and said, "The fuck they doing with them kids?" Dad shrugged. He looked defeated, like he had just confessed to a terrible sin. "I only know what happens to some of them." I waited for him to continue. "They don't take babies. The Mundys ain't equipped to handle them that young. They like them to be old enough to follow commands." "What do they have them doing?" "I ain't certain. I've never been inside the mountain myself, but I know that sometimes they release the kids back onto the surface. Of course, the kids ain't right when they come out, nor are they kids anymore. Although they ain't quite grown up either. Sure, their bodies have matured, but their minds went backward." "Do they go home?" "Some of them no longer have a home to go to. Sometimes their parents stumble upon them, assuming they recognize who they are. Others just wander." "Well, I ain't seen them." "Maybe you have, and you just didn't know. They're out there somewhere, usually in the woods." I remembered back to the incident in the woods, where I had been surrounded by an unseen group while following the Mundys. My thought was interrupted by a realization. If the price to stay on the mountain is children, then... Dad, how are we still living on the mountain? He closed his eyes. He looked so much older than I'd ever noticed before. He clenched his hands together to stop from shaking. I leaned forward and asked, "Dad, do I have siblings I don't know about?" He looked at me, tears in his eyes, and said, "No." "How are we still here then?" "I gave them someone else's child." My father broke down. I'd never seen him shed a single tear my whole life until now. It looked as if every tear he'd ever held back was now escaping. My mom had woken up and was standing in the hall. She knew immediately what the conversation was about. "We had to do it," she said. "We couldn't give up our own child." I turned to her. "When did this happen?" "You were an infant. We paid the fee early." "Stop talking like they're currency, damn it. They're children." "This child wasn't well off to begin with." "What do you mean?" My dad wiped his face with his handkerchief and regained his composure. "Up north, there's a place that sells children. It's a god-awful place. Those poor kids." I could see he was getting emotional again. "Well," he continued, "we purchased a boy." "Why a boy?" "I suppose we figured a boy would be better equipped to deal with whatever it was that awaited him." "How old was he?" 7. Jesus. It was my dad's turn to raise his voice. "You think I wanted to do that? You see what it's done to me. I'm sorry, damn it, I'm sorry. I couldn't give up my child, I just couldn't." We sat for a moment in silence. I reckon none of us wanted to continue further into the nightmare, but I needed to know more. "The Kellers gave up 3 children. Their own blood," I said. "The Kellers will become prominent citizens pretty soon." "Why?" "Different payments reap different rewards. 1 child means you can stay up on the mountain. 2 children allows you to leave. 3 children, and you prosper." "Prosper? How?" "The Mundys are the ultimate authority here. They decide how you live. If you want to live comfortably, you have to give up 3 children." "They gave up their own flesh and blood, though. Y'all didn't do that. Why didn't they give the Mundys some stranger's kids?" I couldn't believe those words came out of my mouth. "Couple of reasons. The reward is greater if it's your own blood. Gives you Mundy protection. If anyone wrongs you, the Mundys will deal with them." "What's the other reason?" "Cage-free eggs." "Come again?" "Raise the kids well before sending them to the slaughterhouse." "What the fuck?" My dad nodded in agreement. "Fuck this," I said as I stood up. "Let's just leave." "And we can't." "Why not? We've been on vacation before. Nothing happened." "The Mundys are aligned with forces much larger than us. I'm talking about evil forces, son. Something supernatural." I sat back down and waited for him to continue. "Sure, we've been on vacation, but it ain't ever been relaxing. Not for your mom and I. Everywhere we went, there'd be an extra shadow following ours, reminding us of the deal we made." "A person?" "No, son. Something evil. Inhuman. A demon, I guess. Whatever it is. It's there anytime we leave the mountain." "This is unreal." "It's real." I was overwhelmed with all I'd just heard. I ain't one to buy too heavily into ghost stories. I tend to trust my senses more than I do stories. But I'd seen with my own eyes the unnatural speed and strength of the Mundys. And what about the old lady, living as long as she supposedly has? "Is that really Sarah?" I asked. "It's her, all right. When old man Mundy died, his kids became the collectors. But you see, them kids lusted after one another, and the family tree started to rot. And as a result, the Mundys became abominations we see today. Where are you going with this? We pay a fee to the Mundys to live on the mountain, but they pay a fee of their own to, I don't know, the devil or something. I don't know what they were promised, but they made some sort of deal. And when Old Man Mundy's kids chose to muddy up their own gene pool, whatever force they were aligned with must have cursed the last surviving of the siblings to live forever and continue collecting. Sarah was old when her final sibling died, so she remains old for eternity. At least that's how it's been told to me. So, because the inbred children aren't capable of complex thoughts, the devil or whoever cursed the last one who is? Exactly. What about the general store and the politics? The Mundys were already in control. Why even bother? They held up appearances for a bit. Everyone blocks out reality up here and pretends things are different. And I guess that's how they maintain sanity. Maybe that's what Old Man Mundy was trying to do as well. But his children were less concerned about societal norms. They introduced another deeply disturbing truth to the mountain, and that was too much for people, I guess. It's hard for people to pretend like a bunch of inbreds are normal. I guess that makes sense, but if the Mundys been living underground all them years prior, I can't imagine there'd be much selection for partners. Old Man Mundy's kids couldn't have been the first to reproduce with their kin. It ain't just Mundy's been down there. Who else? Don't make me point out the obvious, son. What? They don't just collect boys. Oh. My dad closed his eyes and nodded. And before people started paying them, they just took whatever kids they found. Old Man Mundy was likely born from some poor girl that got taken. I can't. We have to do something. Blood on the window was a warning to us. To you? It was on my window. It was a reminder that we're not under their protection. They'll come after us if we don't stay back. You think tonight might have been the tipping point? I don't know. And if it is? I don't know. I sat quietly for a moment. I think I know how to get inside the mountains. My dad's eyes grew large. How? There's a door beneath the stairs.